Good morning and welcome back to this session. It's my great pleasure. I am Nadia Lamandaz to welcome you in this session dedicated to the calls under the Circular Economy and Quality of Life Standard Action Project. So you will hear many of my colleagues that will present you in detail the various priority topics under the Circular Economy and Quality of Life calls. We are all from the CINEA life unit in charge of nature and environment. So my colleagues will guide you to the important features of the call document, in particularly the section 2 of the call document, that of course we recommend you to also read and reread because it's very important to understand the various priority topics. Then, after this presentation, we will have also the possibility to answer some of your questions via that you have either asked yesterday or today under the via Slido. So do not forget to like the questions that ring a bell to you, and we will try to answer all of them before the end of this session. That will be at 12:10. Please note as well that, as you will see, the presentation are rather dense. So we have recorded all these those presentations to make them available to you for watching them again, including the question and answer sessions. So that's really important that you can refer back, and they will be on the live website. Without more time, I will kindly request having the presentation, and I will give the floor to my colleague, Aurelio Politano. Voilà. So Aurelio, the floor is yours.
Thanks a lot, Nadia. Good morning, everyone. I'm Aurelio Politano. I'm the Program Coordination Manager of the Circular Economy and Quality of Life. I deal mainly with the standard action projects, and as Nadia mentioned today, we will be presenting our team the priority topics of our call. So you will get to know the other colleagues as we go along with the presentation. Next slide, please. So we will be discussing basically a bit more generally the type of funding instrument and the focus of this presentation. You have already got some information yesterday related to the call or to the different types of call. It's just a quick reminder. We'll discuss a bit more in detail the innovation and best practice definitions which are relevant to our call. And then we'll dig into the priority topics through the different colleagues that I have kind of specialized allocation. So as I was just mentioning, this slide shows the different type of funding instruments foreseen in the LIFE program. Here we are talking about standard action projects. So normally those are the calls within the sub-program for circular economy and quality of life, the same for climate and the same for nature. They are a bit more substantial in terms of funding and budget, and they are also the more traditional projects funded by the LIFE program over the past couple of decades. Next slide, please. So what are standard action projects? You can read the definition. I will try to summarize this to a certain extent my way. LIFE traditional projects or standard action projects are implementing projects, so not focused on research, dealing with innovative solutions basically, but not necessarily innovative. They can also be best practices. These projects, as I mentioned, they are implementing projects with real actions on the ground, and evidently they contribute to all the things that you see in the third bullet point linked to relevant union legislation and policy. So they contribute basically to the implementation, monitoring, enforcement of the EU legislation linked to environment. The last bullet point deals with the fact that we not only ask projects to implement actions, we also try to foster replication and kind of transfer of these results in other contexts. So this is the definition of what a standard action project is. You know from, I guess, yesterday that in our case, the co-financing rate is 60%. The 2 bullet points you see below do not apply to our call, but just to nature calls. And the maximum duration of the project is 10 years. Next slide, please. So what do we mean by innovative solution and best practices? So by innovative techniques, we mean solutions that are new that are new compared to the state of the art, but the state of the art either at member state or sector level. And basically, and here we go back to the idea of implementing projects. They must be implemented, these solutions, at a scale that allows the achievement of significant impacts, basically. Impacts in terms of environment, evidently, but also in terms of business and economy. So this is our definition of innovative technique. I will mention later why this is relevant for our calls. But as I said, we also can finance projects that are considered best practice. The benchmark is still member state or sector level, and the scale, let's say, of the implementation of the project must be able to allow the achievement of relevant impacts. Why do I emphasize this? Because we are not talking about research projects or projects that have a limited type of impact. So we are looking for projects that have a certain type of effect or impact on the ground. So you see below, that's why we specify what do we mean by impact in the related award criterion, which is award criterion 2. And you can see that we look for, and this is in the evaluation criteria, projects that have ambitious and credible impacts during and or after the project duration. So we look for the achievement of sufficiently credible and ambitious impacts. I mentioned already the benchmark of the state of the art is not European-wide or worldwide anymore as it was in the previous edition of the LIFE program, but it's a member state and sector or sector level. Here, all this discussion is basically linked, the discussion about innovation and also the one that you will hear soon after this slide about the priority topics. All this discussion is relevant to our criterion 1, which is called relevance criterion. And within the context of this criterion, we do evaluate the match of the proposal with the definition of standard action project, the possibility that it's innovative, and the fact that it matches with the priority topics, which in some cases, they require a kind of innovation level of a certain type. Next slide, please. So those are the priority topics I was mentioning. You can see listed here. Each one will be presented by a different colleague. I will start with circular economy and waste. It's important to remember again what I just said. The relevance of this is linked to our criterion 1. So the better you match the topic, the most likely you are to get higher score in our criterion 1. Next slide, please. Here we repeat again the topic. I just would like to give you a very, very quick reminder about the main features of the call. So the first thing is budget-wise. The first 6 topics, which we call circular economy and quality of life, formally also new European Bauhaus fits within circular economy and quality of life. But those 6 topics have a budget of 65 million. New European Bauhaus has a dedicated budget envelope of 8 million. Environmental governance has a dedicated budget line of 6.5 million. So this means that the first 6 topics, they compete among each other. New European Bauhaus stands on its own, and the same goes for environmental governance. Then evidently there might be reshuffling in case we don't have sufficient demand in one of these budget envelopes, basically. So we are able to reshuffle if we have more demand on one and less demand on another topic. I want to highlight again, and this you will see it right away when I start the discussion about circular economy and waste topic, there's a kind of strategic use of innovative in this topic. So you really need to pay attention that your solution matches not only the general description of the topic, but also in case it's specified the fact that it is innovative. So you need to explain. How do you need to explain this? Explaining the state of the art at member state or sector level, and explaining what is the reason why you consider your, without further ado, I would move on to the next slide, which is exactly the description of circular economy and waste. Here we have two sections. One, which is this one, is more traditional waste management to a certain extent. You can see described here in all the bullet points the different waste streams, most of them, if not all of them, covered by specific EU legislation. And the warning I want to give is what I was mentioning before. You can see here at the beginning, the sentence starts with implementation of innovative solutions. So in this case, we are looking for not only projects that deal with these waste streams in the way that you see described here, for example, separate collection and recycling of WEEE. So it does not only have to deal with this, but it has to be innovative. And so you need to explain this. There are specific parts of the application form where you are requested to explain the state of the art, if it's innovative, and how it fits with the project topic. So I will just mention briefly the different waste streams, but those are, again, the ones that are a priority basically in the EU legislation linked to environment. So we have waste electrical and electronic equipment, we have batteries and accumulator, end-of-life vehicles, we have construction works for building, plastics. It's really the top priority waste streams covered by legislation. Another warning message is please pay attention to the, for example, concerning textile, separate collection and recycling of textile. We normally expect to see a project that is innovative in this sense, but also that deals with the collection and recycling. So both parts must be covered by the project in order to get basically full recognition of the matching with the project priority, basically. Next slide, please. So this part deals with the so-called circular economy project. You can see that in the first sentence, basically, what is our focus? Again, it's the European legislation. In this case, is particularly the EU Action Plan for Circular Economy, and in particular, we are dealing with value chains linked to circular economy, but more specifically with the key product value chains identified by the action plan. So plastic, textile, you can see the list, WEEE again, electric and electronic waste. So to fit this topic, we must deal with value chains, and we must ideally deal with value chains covered by the key product priorities identified in the action plan. Here, the kind of logic of this topic is the first bullet point. You will see basically we're looking for business and consumption models dealing with, to a certain extent, we can say eco-design. So they try to solve the environmental impact or problem at the beginning in the design phase. So we are looking for solutions that are designed in such a way that they improve basically circularity. So durability, reparability, reusability, all the things that you know linked to this concept of circularity. So basically we're looking for projects that have a solution that solves the problem ex ante to a certain extent. The second bullet point deals with solutions that are, we could say, exposed. So solutions that do not basically impact on the design of the product or service, but more try to minimize the impacts at the end. So in this sense, they try to increase the durability of a certain product, the possibility to reuse it, the repair. So it's business and consumption models dealing with this type of solutions. And the last part is, to a certain extent, some sort of innovative business models. You know, product and service solution, they basically tend to, instead of selling a product, they provide a service which might be a leasing of a product or sharing of a product, so that we don't produce more, but we use existing assets, basically. The second is industrial symbiosis. I don't need to explain what industrial symbiosis is. It's like some industrial district, you find synergies between different companies that can use input or output of each other, and therefore make it more circular. And then digital product passport, which basically focus on tracking of digital information linked to different products and services to make sure the impact is limited and we increase circularity. With this, I would say that I stop it here with regard to this topic, and I pass the floor to Michel Quicheron, also our team, project advisor, mostly dealing with the soil-related projects. So, Michel, the floor is yours, and I will switch off my video. Please.
Thank you, Aurelio. I'm waiting for the slide. Yes, thank you. Good morning. So soil is a topic that finally reached again attention with the proposal for soil health and monitoring law currently under legislative process after a vote at the European Parliament. Soil is also a very horizontal or holistic issue closely linked to water and other policies. Aurelio mentioned that we are not financing research, so you might make some little samples, etc., as part of the project. But if your project is only research-based, I advise you to look at the EU Soil Mission from the Horizon program. And here, contrary to the previous topic, we are not looking only at innovative solutions. So it's not condition that if your project is not innovative, it will not be financed. So the idea for soil-related projects is to contribute to the soil-related commitments of the EU biodiversity strategy and the soil thematic strategy that was adopted. So we have two main aspects for topics on soil. One is to implement actions to protect the quality of the EU soil. So through best practice, but also innovative actions. So actions that encourage transition to sustainable practices of soil and land management. So the soil is also closely linked to agriculture. So we look at solutions that promote and scale up innovative soil and land management techniques, or the scale up of the implementation of sustainable soil management to address adverse effects such as the many soil threats, so erosion, pollution, loss of soil organic carbon, etc. And that prevent negative impacts provided on provided soil ecosystem services. If I could get back the slide on soil, thank you. So it includes actions to prepare for extreme weather and to combat desertification, to increase the resilience of agriculture and tourism sector to climate threats, and by scaling up the implementation of effective nature-based solutions. So that's for the first bullet point. And the second bullet point is so clearly linked with the soil health and with this proposal for directive. So to actions that restore, protect, and improve the soil health and prevent soil degradation, including soil loss, through their also innovative actions. So that can be to sustain soil fertility and biodiversity, to restore soil after pollution, enhance capacity to improve water quality, There's also the application of a cost-effective investigation, assessment, and remediation solution for point source and diffuse soil contamination. We also finance support to sustainable soil and land management practices, including those specifically intended to remove CO2. We also finance action that address soil degradation, including soil loss, to prevent land resources. So land going towards the land degradation neutrality, and this could include preventing soil loss or actually regaining soil that has been lost because it's been used for human purposes. It is not prone to water infiltration anymore. And finally, the LIFE program addresses a cost-effective solution to unseal already sealed area. That's what I was anticipating. So with that, these are the topics that for the Core 2024 are covered under the LIFE program. It might change from next year, but so far, this is it. And now I will give the floor to Mario for air.
Thank you very much, Michel. Next slide, please. Thank you. I'm going to introduce you now to the topic on air. Being this topic on air, it is very important to understand that we are primarily addressing air pollutants. This means particulate matter, nitrogen oxide, sulfur oxides, volatile organic compounds, ammonia. I'm saying this just to point out that CO2, carbon dioxide, is not an air pollutant per se. It's a greenhouse gases, and we have also a call on climate. So when it is important, when you want to address this topic, that you keep the focus on air pollutants. Obviously, there is strong synergies between reducing air pollutants and carbon dioxide, but the focus must be on air pollutants according to what is ruled by Air Quality Directive, National Emission Ceiling Directive. Going now through the topics, the first is related to the reduction, so improving air quality through the reduction of particulate matter. So the focus is on particulate matter, but where? In areas where there is high use of solid fuels for domestic heating, so biomass, coal, peat, or in areas where there are high emissions of particulate matters coming from construction, reconstruction activities, quarrying, mining, in general terms, mineral handling, or other dust-generating activities. Such projects can tackle technical solutions, but also managerial, regulatory, innovative incentive. What is important, you can also tackle one or more of these together in a complementary or synergic way. Second topic is on sustainable road transport mobility. So here we are talking about road transport. And as you can see, there is quite a wide range of activities that you can tackle singularly or together. There is the reduction of air pollutants from real driving conditions, for example, technical measures for vehicles, eco-driving. Then zero emission vehicles. And you can also include some relevant infrastructures that's strictly necessary to the operation of the vehicles themselves. Innovative use of alternative fuels, retrofit programs, then drivetrain technologies, so meaning everything that can reduce emissions from vehicles that is not strictly related to the propulsion systems of to the engine. Innovative technologies to reduce emission from wear and tear. This is important, for example, now that the electric vehicles are coming quickly into the market, there are still sources of pollution from brakes, tires, interaction between the tires and the road surface. High impact traffic access systems, such as low or zero emission zones, and then the use of innovative logistics for passengers and goods. Next slide, please. Always within air quality legislation and national emission ceiling directives. Before I presented road transport, now we have sustainable mobility other than road transport. This includes maritime, ports, aviation, non-road mobile machinery. Also here, you can include in the project supporting infrastructures that are necessary for the operation, strictly necessary for the operation of the proposed solution. Focus generally is on propulsion, and then you can see also an indication on cargo. There are some footnotes that are not reported here where you have some clarification. With the cargo means that for big cargos, there are ships, big ships moving, transporting hydrocarbons or liquid fuels. There are still a lot of volatile organic compounds inside that generally are released into atmosphere through operations such as the degassing. When you tackle non-road mobile mobility, you can address technologies that are not yet referenced into the relevant regulation. But when you tackle those in the regulation, we expect that you go beyond the legal requirement specified there. And then reduction for the agriculture sector, we have reduction of ammonia, methane, and particulate matter emissions. This also in support of the implementation of the Code of Good Practices of the UNECE, this is the United Nations Economic Commission for Europe. And then in the Industrial Emission Directive, so we are not anymore under the Air Quality NEC Directive, but Industrial Emission Directive. For the industrial compartment that belongs to the Industrial Emission Directives, we refer to prevention abatement techniques that reduce air pollutants. We are talking about emerging techniques that generally are referenced into the relevant document for that industries called Best Reference Documents, BREF. Or you can also propose new technologies that can become the future emerging techniques when these documents are reviewed. We are talking about air because the Industrial Emission Directive tackles different source of emissions, but under air, the focus should be for PM 2.5, nitrogen oxides, sulfur dioxide, ammonia, and non-methane volatile organic compounds. This is all for air. Thank you very much. And I give now the floor to my colleague Federico De Filippi.
Thank you, Mario. I will illustrate the topic of water, which is quite complex. We have 3 areas of intervention, and therefore I will illustrate the 3 slides that are quite dense, quite full of information. I will try to summarize for you. The first area of intervention is water quality and quantity. When we talk about water quality, we have to refer to the Water Framework Directive normally and to the River Basin Management Plan. So please keep this in mind when you address this priority. We can deal with water quality in 3 ways. So we can tackle the pressures related to organic pollution and nutrients by integrated management approaches. So addressing both the source of pollution and the water body that is affected by the pollutant. Then we have chemical pollutions. Let me try to understand how to, yes, okay, this is better. Chemical pollutions, in this case, we have to address the pollution at source. So we have to reduce the emission of the pollutant. And in this case, these pollutants should be foreseen as, should be included in the River Basin Management Plan as as specific river basin pollutants, or they can be priority substances. The third way in which we can address pressures in order to improve water quality is by addressing and removing hydromorphological pressures, and in this case also they should be included in the river basin management plan. In this case, we are interested both in removing pressures for longitudinal connectivity of rivers, but also for lateral connectivity. So also the lateral connectivity means that if we can reconnect the water body with the surrounding ecosystems, this is an action that is very much welcome. Let's go now to the water quantity concept. In this case, we are dealing with flood and drought risk management. I would like to draw your attention on the first priority, which is nature-based solutions, which are aimed at increasing water retention and storage and infiltration of water. Why I want to draw your attention on this? Because it is the only priority in the whole of the water topic, which does not require to be innovative. So in this case, we can use the best practices. Please keep in mind that for the rest of priorities under the water topic, a certain degree of innovation, as explained by my colleague Aurelio before, is requested. For these nature-based solutions, this is not assessed. Then we have the implementation of innovative prevention and protection tools and techniques, and risk assessment and management approaches for decreasing the flood and drought risk management. Last but not least, we have the implementation of water-saving measures. Next slide, please. The second area of intervention is marine and coastal water management. Here it is a bit more straight, let's say, under the conceptual point of view. Here also innovation is requested, and the solutions should be aimed at reducing pressures on the marine and coastal environment. We have here a set of examples of what this kind of pressures might be. So we have, for example, underwater noise, we have disturbance and damage to the seafloor, we have marine litter and contaminants, we have nutrients and organic matter. So variety of pressures that could be addressed in your proposal. Next slide, please. Last area of intervention for water is related to water services. Here we can refer to let's say in general to three main priorities. The first one is drinking water provision, second is urban wastewater treatment, and the third one is water reuse. So you are invited to present your processes that are aimed at your projects that are aimed at improving the processes of drinking water production or urban wastewater treatment or production of water reuse. We aim at receiving actions that are addressed to improve the resource efficiency of these processes, and that are, for example, also aimed at removing or addressing pollutants of emerging concern, or that are aimed at providing these kind of services, so drinking water provision and urban wastewater treatment in rural areas. the new regulation on water use is also a very important driver for us. So we are expecting to see innovative solution for the production of reclaimed water and for addressing the issue of pollutants of emerging concern. The last priority, the last point is projects aimed at avoiding loss of water, energy, and resources in industrial production and in provision of water services. So from my side for the water topic, this is all. Then I will leave the floor to, my dear colleague, Manuel Montero Ramirez for topics of noise and chemicals. Thank you.
Thank you, Federico, and good morning to everyone. Today, I will guide you through two different but extremely important topics. On one hand, noise, and on the other hand, chemicals. Under noise, priority will be given to projects taking place in densely populated urban areas, aiming at improving the situation of a maximum number of EU citizens. How can we achieve that? Through solutions with high environmental and economic sustainability, for instance, by using low noise surfaces and or tires, having life cycle costs comparable to those of standard ones, low height barrier with low landscape impacts and eco-friendly material, or lowering noise from railway traffic or airport. I would like to take this opportunity to strongly encourage potential applicants having in mind a project idea covering this topic to apply. Please put forward your application, as we don't receive many proposals. Actually, under Call for Proposal 2023, last year Call for Proposal, we did not receive any single application covering these important topics. Can we move to the next one, please? Under chemicals, we are looking for projects aiming at the prevention and reduction of the impacts on the environment or human health of hazardous substances and or of chemical production and use across the value chain. What hazardous substances in particular? Substances of concern, including endocrine disruptors and persistent ones, nanomaterial, biocidal product and or pesticide, and PFAS, including combination effects of substances, the so-called cocktail effects. How can we achieve the prevention and reduction of the impact of those hazardous substances? Through innovation for safe and sustainable by design approaches for chemical, material, and products, and phasing out of substances of concern. How can we achieve the prevention and reduction of the impact of the use across the value chain? With the development of green and digital smart technology, with advanced material, and with low carbon and low environmental impacts industrial production and use of chemical. Can we move to the next one, please? Next slide, please. Furthermore, proposal covering digital innovation for advanced tool, method, and models, and data analysis capacity to move away from animal testing are also welcome to apply. The second item refers to the implementation of safe and sustainable by design solutions, including through the development, commercialization, deployment, and uptake of safe and sustainable by design substances, material, and products. And last but not least, the facilitation of the implementation of the Seveso III directive on the control of major accident hazards involving dangerous substances. How can we achieve the implementation of the mentioned directive? Through deployment of cost-effective tools. It is important to highlight that projects under this item shall foresee the demonstrative application of those tools by data holders and implement risk prevention or reduction measures on their basis. That's all from me today. Now I would like to give the floor to my dear colleague Piedad Rivas, that she will explain all of us the environment governance and the new European Bauhaus. Thank you so much. Piedad, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Manuel. Hello, good morning, everybody. I hope you can see me now. Can you confirm that all is visible?
Yeah, we see you well, and we have the presentation. Go on.
Thanks a lot.
Thanks
So
to
Thanks. Can I get the slide 19 on environmental governance? So hello, everybody. As I mentioned before, welcome to these two priority topics. So I will take you through to the environmental governance priority, the specific priority, and to the new Bauhaus. I will start first with the environmental governance. And as you can see, in just prior to start explaining point by point on the slide that you can see, I like to do some introductory remarks for the Life SAP Environment Governance Call. As my colleague mentioned, there is a dedicated budget of 6.5 million euros. So the aim, the objective of this specific priority call is to facilitate the transition towards a sustainable, circular, toxic-free, energy efficiency, climate resilient economy, and toxic-free environment, as well as to protect and restore and improve the quality of environment. So basically, the activities you will see under these specific topics is to reinforce the circular economy and what you have seen in the other topics that my colleagues explained to you from the perspective of the stakeholders, from the perspective of the local authorities, and from the perspective of the industry and the NGOs. So this is as a first remark. For the environmental governance, I will now introduce three slides on 3 blocks of topics. So one is activities in support of public administration, decision-making and voluntary approach for this public administration. So this is the first topic. The second one is environmental compliance, assurance, and access to justice. Basically, it means green environmental, social EU legislation, monitoring, compliance, implementation, and enforcement, how we do that. And the third block is the change of behavior. So awareness-raising initiatives and behavioral change coming mainly from the citizens and civil society. So these are the 3 main aspects concerning if you are considering to apply to this specific topic, environmental governance. You can choose maximum of 2 subtopics, which I mentioned before. For instance, activities in support of public administration and voluntary and behavioral change. So you can apply for the 3 of them. And just on a final remark before I go topic by topic on this specific environmental governance call. This call topic focuses exclusively on environmental governance projects, other as defined in the related call topic name, Standard Action Projects Environment, as well as Life Standard Action Project Nature Governance are excluded. So, and this is for the introductory remarks. Now I go directly for the first block, which is activities in support of public administration and decision making and voluntary approach. In here, what we intend, or the call text intent is improving the capacity of public administration to implement a holistic vision of the environment, including the management, the monitoring, the assessment of environmental plans and programs and initiatives, involving the responsible authorities, so the competent authorities, also involving the collaboration of the different territorial level. So we're talking going back to city, region, and national level, and where appropriate in partnership with the private sector. And this is obviously to create an ecosystem to develop synergies and reduce administrative burden and optimize environmental outcomes. So these activities will contribute to two, and my colleagues already explained that before, two main global and policy goals. The United Nations Agenda on Sustainable Development Goals, but also the EU legislation, which is scaled down and implemented at national, regional level. So in here you have the list the list of all the different national and regional plans which can be targeted. So national air pollution control.
That you have 5 minutes left for the entire presentation. So please, you have to maybe be a bit quicker. Thanks.
I will speed up. So the list of the national and regional plans is listed in here. You can read that within the proposal, and the slide shows is self-explanatory. Perhaps in the question and answer we can focus more. Now the second block, I will pass to the next. If you can pass to the next slide, is the development and promotion and implementation and harmonization on the voluntary instruments. So here we're talking about voluntary instruments that local authorities, but also citizenships and the civil society can endorse. It is for the use by entities aiming at reducing the environmental impact of their activities, products, and services. So here we are aiming, as you can see and read in the 7 bullet points. So third-party verification and performance of innovative technologies to get ready into the market. So product environmental footprint category rules and on the different verticals, sectorial rules. And industry sector, the use of the promotion and use of the EU eco-label. You can also see services, you can apply and implement action and services and networks of innovative business model to foster the use and the reuse of obsolete and to strengthen the durability and the reuse of obsolete appliances. For example, this is very important for industry sector like textile, footwear industry, for the science-based consumer goods and white appliance and electronic devices. Then you can also apply to implement green and circular public procurement in public administration and municipalities, how you do this innovative green public procurement, and also regulatory and financial reputational incentive, the use of regulatory and financial and reputational incentives such as the EMAS. And last but not least, also the something that we put really stress importance of is the built environment. So the using of levels, the European framework for sustainability performance in buildings. It is the building framework with core indicators, and is to use the same language to evaluate impacts and of Europe buildings. As you know, the buildings are really a key and important at European level, as they are really reusing them is half of the structured materials, total half of energy production, water consumption, and waste generation. So this is for the second block. Now let's pass to the third block, which is the environmental compliance assurance. In here, we would like to support environmental compliance assurance by access also to justice. As you can see in the bullet points, we will support environmental compliance assurance by establishing new in place enhancing existing cross-border national or regional networks of environmental compliance assurance practitioners and experts. So establishing really, we would like to build knowledge, expertise, and network of practitioners to improve compliance with the binding EU environmental instruments, and also building capacities and training to improve compliance with the binding EU environmental instruments. For example, applying the polluter pays principle, or using a mix of administrative law, criminal law, and environmental liability. Also, there is
you have 2 minutes left for concluding your presentation also on Bauhaus, please.
Okay, so this is for the, thank you, Nadia, for the second point. Now, last, to address the third point, which is behavioral change in awareness raising activities. In here, as you can see, and you can read in the slide, we tackle the EU environmental policies and tools and legislation to target relevant audiences. So, and here it is aiming to change the perception and fostering the adoption of environmental friendly behaviors by directly involvement the civil society. In here you have all the, in the indents, you have in the three priorities and the indents, you have what are the evidence that you need to provide in terms of need to provide substantial evidence of change of behavior, also addressing the United Nations Agenda on Sustainable Development, and the environmental problems on the at the European policy level, which is basically the European Green Deal, Circular Economy Action Plans, and the Zero Pollution Action Plan. So this to conclude with the environmental governance. Now I speed up and I go to the second topic priority. If I can move, if you can move the slide, okay. I will take you to the second topic priority, which is the new European Bauhaus. This is in the call text is listed as the topic 7, sorry, it's in 6. And just to a little bit of introduction, if I may. Sorry, Nadia, if I stretch a little bit longer. I see that we are also on time. So the new European Bauhaus, the European Commission launched a priority initiative in 21. It is the European Bauhaus. It's an environmental, economic, and cultural project combining design, sustainability, accessibility, affordability, which contributes to the European Green Deal, and how life builds and supports synergies with the European Bauhaus under the Life Circular Economy and Quality of Life natural and biodiversity programs, including showcasing potential of Bauhaus initiatives also in third countries and associated countries to the program. For this initiative, I would like to stress the 3 points where the priority is given. We have given a priority to the built environment, urban and built environment. So the proposals that we have supported since 21, they focus on holistic reduction of environmental impact in new buildings, on circular district and neighborhoods involving the creation of circular value chains to boost urban economies, whilst production, urban and territorial regeneration. This meaning as well the relationship between urban and rural areas. And also proposals for maintaining or restoring the biodiversity that contributes to implementing new European Bauhaus initiatives. That could be, for example, demonstrating projects on biodiversity-friendly practice for energy isolation of buildings, innovative architectural approaches for wildlife and friendly buildings. Just to give you an example of two projects.
I'm sorry, Piedad, I think you don't have the time to give examples.
So then I will thank you. I will thank you, and I will.
I'm really sorry about that because we are really
in
late.
the questions and answers, and I will pass the floor.
Sure.
And I will pass the floor to my colleague Aurelio. Thank you.
Thank you. So Aurelio, yeah, the last slide, it's really up to you, just for the audience and to you, Aurelio. We have around 20 questions. So if you can, if you need time for questions. Okay, thanks.
Thanks, Nadia, and thanks, Piedad. Okay, this is just brief summary of what we see happening normally with in terms of issues with the proposal. I will start from the positive. What is a good design project? You have a solid analysis of the project, you explain the state of play, the proposed solution. In particular, in our case, we deal with technological projects, technical readiness of the state, the type of test you have done, how ready you are is very crucial. Stakeholders involved is important. In our case, very often we deal with the market. So rather than stakeholders, I would call these, customers but more generally, it can be stakeholders. It depends on the type of project. The impacts are a crucial aspect. We highlighted this already in the course of this presentation. The possibility to continue and to replicate these impacts and the solution is also crucial. As I was mentioning, the common problems are lack of background information that does not allow us to assess properly your project. The attitude of we will define this during the project is normally can be problematic. Too ambitious or broad objectives can be problematic. Partnership must be apt to perform the activities you claim you want to perform. Being realistic is crucial, so watch out for over-optimism. And then replication is not the same as communication, networking. So it's really, continuation of the concrete solution you have established. So, and the last point is also linked to what I just said. Nadia, that's all.
Thanks a lot, Aurelio. That was really, really good because very summarizing the main important good and let's say less good point. So now we have the time for the question and answer. So you have on the slide the Slido. If you want to ask a question or to like a question that was already asked by another participant to that event. I warned you at the beginning that the content of the presentation would be really, really dense. So, but as I said as well, everything, the material, the presentation, the recording will be available to you. So you can go back and you can always also ask questions to your NCP, to your national NCP, or to the CNEA Life Inquiry if you don't find the answer to your questions. And we'll do our best to reply. So now if you can see the Slido. Okay, great. So I will start with the first one. When it comes to circular economy and waste, can this call fund a project that is focused on the wider impact of the waste and environment? For example, the issue of wasting big amount of salt during the winter for road. Alors, I'm giving the floor to Aurelio. Yeah, that's a difficult question indeed.
Yeah, well, I'll try to interpret because it's not so clear. Well, first, I mean, general consideration. We've talked today about priority topics. LIFE is a bottom-up type of program. So any proposal, any topic that deals with the environment can be funded. Evidently, the likelihood or the scoring is normally supposed to be higher when you match exactly the priority topic. So I mean, in principle, the issue of dealing with the salt during the winter for roads is eligible, but you need to explain what is the big problem with this in your country? What are the implications in terms of impact? What is the innovative solution or best practice solution that you are proposing? So you need to check. I don't want to sound as a bureaucrat, but you need to check how well your idea fits with our criteria, so impacts, quality, relevance, and specifically what we discussed today, the project topic. It doesn't have to fully match. As I just said, it's a bottom-up, but the more it matches, the more likely you will be to get higher score and maybe passing score to be able to be funded. So that's what I would say on this one. I give the floor back to you, Nadia.
Thanks, Aurelio. This is I think a good overview reply and also giving back the central about the evaluation criteria, which are indeed really critical. And they were presented yesterday, by the way, in the general presentation. So please do not hesitate to look at that again. The second question that I will have for Manuel, I guess, is can production of bio-based chemicals via fermentation find space in life? I don't know if that's, Manuel, you can answer to that question.
Yes, of course, I will take this one, Nadia. Thank you for that. I mean, of course, the information provided is not very extensive, so it's very limited, but I believe that under the chemicals topic that just was presented, you will find the possibility, of course. I think that is relevant. For example, especially if you want to phase out substances of concern on the basis of this bio-based chemical that you want to produce, you will find the hook under the chemical topic. Yeah.
Thanks, Manuel. The next question: several interventions have potential overlap scope. Of course, we are in one environment, so I think there is this overlaps of scopes. Is it considered an advantage for a project to cover multiple, or should project be more focused? That's a very important question. I don't know if Aurelio or maybe Fabio, do you want to take that one? Fabio, the head of our head of sector.
Yes. Good morning, everyone. Let's see. Nice to see you back. If you followed also yesterday, it's rather common that projects may have impacts or intervene in different areas. Of course, first you need to identify what is your main imprint of the project. Is it really circular economy? Are you targeting a certain waste stream? Are you doing anything around water and so on? So you have to have clear in mind what is your primary objectives and what is your primary impact. Also because you have to decide which life stream or priorities you need to select. Mm-hmm. Second, then, of course, in a context of in a life cycle perspective, you will present also the positive elements of this intervention that not only acts on an endpoint, but it also contributes to other benefits. So I don't see this as a disadvantage. Normally, what I see as a disadvantage is, and we see this, is to try to sell your project and try to fit it everywhere, and then justifying that this is good for this, and this, and that, and then you confuse let's say you confuse the impact of the project, you confuse the experts while they're reading your proposal. So be careful not to overdoing it in this sense.
Yeah, thanks, Nadia. Thanks, Fabio. Indeed, one of the criteria is the clarity. So if you have if it's unclear, blurred, it is confusing indeed. I guess the next question is for Mario. Our project aiming to electricity inland passengers vessels applicable in life. What level of innovation is essential? Mario?
Yeah, thank you very much, Nadia. Inland vessels is what we cover under life through non-road transport. In particular, they are regulated under the non-road mobile machinery. So for sure, inland vessels, and we have already projects on inland vessels, passenger or goods, are absolutely eligible. It's a sector that matched the topic, actually, not only eligible. And the electrification would lead this to a zero emission. So for sure, I see this project covered by the life topic.
A bit louder, Mario.
Sorry?
A bit louder.
Bit louder, see, sorry.
Yes.
Can you hear me better? Yeah, sorry.
Yeah.
Okay, sorry. I was saying, yes, it can be, it's covered by the life topic on sustainable non-road transport. The level of innovation as being the only requirement that the topic tells you there, since all the projects in that sector are already considered quite ambitious, let's say, is that if it's covered by the non-road mobile machinery regulation, you go beyond the standards that are described there for that specific technologies. But I see this kind of project matching very well. Obviously, you have to build a project because it's not the electrification itself. The project is reducing, having an environmental impact. In this case, is air quality. So you should always describe the situation in terms of pollutants, air pollutants, not CO2. So particulate matter, nitrogen oxide in that specific context, because air pollution is generally a local problem. And on this, you build a project where you show the benefit of passing from fossil fuel fed inland vessels, passenger transportation to an electrification. And then you can build your demonstration. So it's not really I electrify the vessel. Thanks.
Yeah, thanks, Mario. It's interesting to repeat indeed the importance of the design and the importance of the design of a project to indeed let's say qualify to the specific priority topic that you wish to target. The next question I think will be for Federico. What I read is a natural-based solution NBS project under water quality and quantity be seen as afforestation, reforestation, maybe in urban, peri-urban area too. Federico.
Yes, thank you, Nadia. Yeah, the short answer is yes, why not? Projects about afforestation and reforestation are already present in the LIFE database. They can contribute both on flood risk management and improvement of water quality. We have a project from 2020, which is called Life Urbazo, that is aimed at improving water quality, drinking water quality through afforestation techniques. We have several projects that also deal with improved agricultural practices for the improvement of water quality. So the answer is yes. Going back to the issue of the design of the project, please make sure you can quantify, for example, the area that you are going to target, the quantity of water that you are going to of which you can improve the quality. Be sure that you have the stakeholders on board, because if we deal with land management and land property, then there are issues and risks that must be taken into account. So the answer is yes, but be careful because it's a complex matter, and the design of the project must be convincing and must take into consideration all the aspects of the implementation.
Okay, thanks a lot, Federico, for all the good advice. Now the next question will be for Aurelio. If local entities can apply for SAP, do they need to have an annual turnover? Can startup apply for this program, sub-program circular economy?
So the first thing is that, yes, they can apply, and actually they're encouraged to apply. There is no strict requirement with regard to the turnover, but since we're talking about money, so the first clear answer is, and brief answer is, yes, they can apply. There is no check done at the application stage. But if the proposal goes through, then there is what we call financial capability assessment. I guess is, well, I'm not sure it has been touched yesterday, but basically we verify that you're solid enough to get the pre-financing, to get the grant, or in case something goes wrong, to recover the funds. So I can understand evidently that for a startup, this might represent an issue, but there are solutions basically. So possibility of having financial guarantees in case these indicators of the financial capability assessment are weak, or at the beginning, like in the case of a startup, there are other different solutions. So please do not be put down by this. So we actually encourage a lot startup to apply. So
yeah, thanks, Aurelio. It was indeed mentioned during the question and answer under the general and financial section, but I think it's good to have this question again because it's an important question for our topic. Fabio, do you want to complete that one, or it's okay? Okay.
Okay, thank you.
I have another question, I think, for you again, Aurelio. Aurelio, in the presentation for circular economy and waste, do you include under innovative solution, innovation or best practice?
I will answer from the other perspective. Each time you don't see innovative, it means that it's open. So not only for circular economy and waste. So in this sense, to answer precisely to your question, we have innovation in waste. Many of the topics of many of the waste streams and solutions for the waste topic, the first I presented. For circular economy, we did not include innovative. Why? Because if you read most of the type of projects we are looking for there are already, to a certain extent, innovative business model, innovative consumption models. So it's either or, but more generally, for all the topics, when you don't read innovative, it means best practice is good enough.
Thanks. Alors, all what we have in front of us is with two. I will give the floor and the opportunity to Piedad to present us, but briefly, Piedad, if possible, one example of a new European Bauhaus project, please.
Sorry, I was looking for yes, one of the example of the European Bauhaus project. For instance, we have a project on boosting the eco-transition of European. The title of the project is Life Bauhaus in Europe. You can find and search in our Life database. The focus is boosting on the eco-transition of European communities by applying the new European Bauhaus concept in renovating public buildings and spaces. So using public participation and focusing on energy efficiency and social innovation. So this project, for instance, is involving 11 partners and is bringing together public authorities and technical experts, but also the population in the renovation of 5 pilot actions and best practices and showcases. They're involving partners from Spain, Croatia, Hungary, and Latvia. This is one of them. The activities is participatory process, stakeholder mapping, interviews with the local community and involving action groups, and is focused on environmental and social innovation. And,
Thanks a lot.
Finally, for an architectural context, that's it.
Yeah. I think that's very important. And also I will recommend you also to go to the Live Public database, where all those projects are also publicized. And now, because we all heard Manuel request to not to forget the noise topic, I will give the floor to Manuel to reply to the question regarding the noise topic. Can demonstrating VE producing and more nature and environmental friendly sound barriers for transport infrastructure in intensively populated location fit the scope, or would the related high infrastructure cost be seen as a disadvantage? It's not an easy question, Manuel, but please.
No, it's just, yeah, it's saying a little bit like the previous one. It's like not many elements, so it's difficult to, but it seems that, you know, according to the information provided, it will fit the scope of the topics.
Mm-hmm.
So in this case, I think that, yeah, it is. It is clear that the LIFE program is not, we are not finding infrastructure, so it's very limited. So it has to be very well, like, explained. The cost for infrastructure, but in principle, the idea, you know, the way that is presented, it seems that it fits the scope of the noise. But it's important to bear in mind that we are not like a structural or cohesion fund program. So that is it's clear that they need to be properly explained in the application, in the proposal.
Clear. Fabio, do you want to add something? Because I see your...
Sorry, I forgot the microphone on, but was not in that. I think just to add, now that I was thinking while Manuel was answering, the cost part is tricky, because we should aim to solutions which have environmental benefits, but that they have a chance compared to the current solutions on the market to be chosen. Otherwise, if we do develop a beautiful, fantastic, super efficient noise isolation system, which is extremely costly, and you will have most likely very little chance of success to get this both by local authorities and municipalities and so on. So indeed, an eye to the cost element and feasibility on the market should be given.
Yeah, indeed, and this applies to that question, but applies also to many of the other innovation. As we say it, we want impact. So to have impact, we need to have the solution taken over by others, and so therefore it has to be economically viable. Now I'll pass the floor to Aurelio, if it's okay for you, could you clarify what kind of approach could be applied under the theme Digital Product Passport within the circular economy topic?
I mean, I can only provide just an example, a kind of dream example. Let's say that all the electronic and electric equipment put on the market includes, with all the possibilities given by the technology, all the information linked to the specific parts and the disassembling of these equipment products, so that at the end of the cycle they can be safely and efficiently recycled or reused or whatever it is. It seems a concept that is rather simple, but this is not applied yet. So that could be an example. To include this type of information on the products that are put on the market, electric and electronic, so to facilitate and increase circularity. At the end, this is, let's say, the idea of the product passport, to contain this type of information, and even more with all the possibilities given now by the technology. So this is the type of thing. But then it's already it's a kind of strange question, in the sense that if you are from a specific sector, normally you should know how you could apply this type of information to your product. So it's yeah, but yeah, that's how I would say, just to give a practical example.
If I may, If I may add on that, Aurelio, you explained very well. But for instance, the digital product passport, if we apply to a specific vertical sector, for instance, for the textile and environmental sustainability, is to ensure transparency to consumer as well as authorities, to citizens, for them to make a more and better and sustainable choice. So you did it very well, and also for the market surveillance authorities can be more effective and carry out their duties, for instance, banning or destruction of unsold goods that are in place. So I will leave it there, but as you say, if you are applying for a specific industry sector, you know what it means.
Thanks a lot, Aurelio and Piedad, for completing. So now the next question, I will give it to I think Michel.
Yes.
Yeah, okay. Should LIFE project have a MAA strategy, multi-actor approach, MAA? In your Horizon Europe, it is now a requirement. Will this be assessed at evaluation stage? So Michel, tell us all.
Yes, so it's not compulsory to have multiple actors, so you can have a mono beneficiary or multiple beneficiary project. What is actually important is to have the right consortium of partners to make your project idea reality during your project and also in the afterlife. So if you have come up with an idea, for instance, you have a scale-up, a startup or a scale-up that's part and that can then sell the project idea after, that's better. So it's really important. You can also, we don't impose multiple countries either, but this will, of course, all be assessed at evaluation stage as was presented among the evaluation criteria. So that's my answer, unless someone wants to add something.
No, thanks a lot. This was very clear. Who wants to take the question about the food waste? Because I think that's it disappeared. Sorry. No, it's here. Among all issues, would a project on food waste be considered as eligible under LIFE? Aurelio? Yeah, Aurelio? Thanks.
Who wrote the question was not very attentive during the presentation. We have, so it's just a joke, but under the waste topic, we have a specific topic linked to bio-waste, which include food waste. And now I go by heart, but I think also under governance, we have some sort of reference to this. So the quick answer is yes. In general terms, yes. Then again, it's a bit little information to say the project could be or the proposal could be eligible under LIFE, but the topic for sure it's relevant to LIFE, very relevant.
If I may add, yes, you can. We have many on the good governance, environmental governance, on the food waste and on the food industry as well, and also the involvement, for instance, of Give Me Five is one of the projects. They are working with a local school and with the food industry just to avoid food waste. So yes, indeed, as you say, Aurelio, it is eligible, and we have many. You can do that research in our LIFE database on using the food or food waste, and most probably you will find some example there. Thank you.
Thanks. I will propose that maybe Fabio, you reply to the question about the conflict of interest. It's important that all applicants are let's say are reassured about our evaluation process. So how conflict of interest is managed in the evaluation process, considering that expert evaluators are often employees of companies operating in the same field as the project initiator?
Yeah, actually, this same questions was raised in the climate panel, and Darek, that is also coordinating the activities around evaluation, has answered completely and profoundly. So if you go back to the recording on the climate, you will have the proper answer. But of course, we have a rigorous process of checking the conflict of interest of evaluators. I think this is the basis for any evaluation that should be flagged as much as independent as possible. So we do check this, there is certain rules for an expert that has been involved in industry in the past to participate. We have checks, we do, if we found, but this was never the case, that they've been hiding this information, we exclude them and from current evaluation and future evaluation. So we are rather serious about conflict of interest for evaluating proposals.
Thanks, Fabio, for this reply and for the indeed redirecting to direct very complete answer on our processes. I have a question now on the eligibility. I would propose this one. Eligibility according to the list of participating country. Norway does not participate in LIFE program, correct? Can a company from Norway be a third-party partner? Where can I find on this, including rules, regulation? If I may just give a first answer there. So indeed, there is a list of participating countries that show which country has actually made an application and candidate and successfully are now eligible as EU member states. If you want to work with a company in your consortium that is not part of those countries, let's take the case of a technology provider for Norway, for instance. This is perfectly possible. This partner will be what we call an associated partner and will have some specific action, including responsible of a work package or responsible of delivering some very specific deliverables. However, their cost they will have to bear their own cost. So that's very important. They will not be able to charge costs on the action. This is what is behind associated partner. I think yesterday in the general information this was presented. So go back there, listen again to Licinia presentation and maybe to the question and answer. So if it's justified, it's possible to have an entity and even action in a country which is not, let's say, in the list. However, this has to be justified and it's at the cost of the partner. Okay, so now there was a question. Yes, the question from Yelena is implementing. Sorry.
Just one quick thing, because they were asking where they can find information in the call document.
Yes, of course.
In the call document, eligibility section.
Call document and in the annotated grant agreement as well. It's very well detailed here what you can do, what you can't do. Yelena has a question. Is implementing reverse osmosis desalination for drinking water on remote inhabited islands, applicable for SAP water topic project? Federico, that's for you.
Thank you, Nadia. Yes, why not? This sounds indeed like an interesting idea, and we have projects on desalination and provision of drinking water. As you heard before, the resource efficient provision of water services in rural areas is one of our priorities. So in this sense, the idea is most welcome, but please make sure you check again the LIFE database, because we receive quite a lot of proposals similar to these. So please go and look what was already funded, and so you can check the degree of innovation of your proposal in the member states and in the sector. Thank you.
Okay, so we are at the end of our presentation, of our question and answer. We will keep two questions. We will keep the one on the average contribution and the one on the SAP and demo traditional, just to clarify again a bit for the one that knew about LIFE. So first, Aurelio, can you answer to the question, what is the average EU contribution for standard action project only?
So maybe I take the occasion to clarify the fact that different to other calls and programs, in our case, there is no requirement of eligibility concerning the size of the project, so budget and EU request contribution. The average funding depends a lot on the type of project, evidently. I mean, on average, I would say that now we are around 2.5, 3 million euros EU requested funding, which means total budget around 5, 6. The average size of project has been increasing compared to the previous editions of LIFE. This is also due to the fact that now, if you comply with some kind of requirements, you can charge entirely, for example, the equipment and not just the depreciation. But again, in the call document, you will find some brackets, but in terms of EU requested funding, but this is not compulsory. Basically, we would tend not to, I mean, we don't expect very small project. I just say a figure, but it's just on a personal, then it always depends, but 500,000 project, it seems to be rather small. The impacts would logically be rather limited, and 2 big projects, although they are eligible, and when I say 2, I mean when I say big, I mean more than 10 million, 7 million EU contribution. They might be a bit out of the bracket. So, but again, we are happy to read any proposal. There is no formal requirement. Stop it here.
So now, thanks, Aurelio. I will give the floor to Fabio to reply to the last question. Are SAP the equivalent of former demonstration project?
Yeah, yes, easy question, easy answer. Yes, the standard action project are mostly equivalent to the pilot and demonstration projects of the previous programming period. Of course, the framework conditions have been changed around, so different award criteria, adaptation. So they are the continuation and evolution of the pilot and demonstration projects.
Okay, thanks a lot. And I have a little message from Aurelio who wants to say something, I think on this subject.
Just about what just Fabio said, it's important. I tried to highlight this before. Compared to before, to the previous edition of LIFE, now best practices are also allowed. This was done on purpose to enlarge the possibility of the audience, let's say, of LIFE projects, and also to enlarge the possible impacts on the ground. So in this sense, what has been added compared to before is the possibility to have best practices eligible according to the requirements we have mentioned before. Just that.
Thanks, Aurelio. This is indeed very important. Now I will give back the floor to Eva. That's the end of the circular economy, circular quality of life dedicated session. So Eva, you have, I think, something to tell us before closing the morning.
Thank you, Nadia. Thanks to all our colleagues from the Circular Economy and Quality of Life team for the great interventions and replying to all these complicated, sometimes difficult questions. I just wanted to tell you quickly that we would like to have the audience's feedback on this session. So please stay just a few more seconds on Slido to reply to this poll. What did you think about this circular economy and quality of life presentation on the on the standard action projects? And then I would like to tell you that we will soon break for lunch. That we will come back at 1 p.m. So I'm sorry, but today the lunch break will be rather short. We will start at 1 p.m. sharp with the presentations of the calls for proposals for standard action projects on the nature and biodiversity subprogram of LIFE. This also because we will have another session for questions and answers answers at 2:30, and we want to take all the questions that were not answered so far. So I would ask you to not ask other questions, but rather like the questions that are already in Slido. So we will not take new questions, but we will try to reply to all the questions that were asked since yesterday and that didn't get an answer yet. And that will be this afternoon's agenda. So now I would just wish you a good lunch break, and I would welcome you to the next session at 1 p.m. Thanks a lot, and see you soon.